What if the queen is not marked and you cannot find her to separate her? Someone left this comment on my special video that I made on the Demarest method of swarm prevention. Hey everybody, David Burns. I'm pumped and excited, passionate about beekeeping. So good to see you. Thanks for joining me today on this video. Got some things to tell you today that's going to help you become a better beekeeper. So thanks for joining me. I've got a little hive here because look at this. It snowed quite a bit. And I tell you what, it's been so windy, 35-mile-an-hour winds. We've had temperatures in the teens, so it's been really cold. So I really don't want to go out into the field and work a hive in this cold temperature. First of all, you can't do it. And secondly, I can't do it. So we're inside today. Thanks for joining me. And I'm excited to answer this question because I made a video about the Demarest method. Some people call it the Demarest method. Mr. Demarest in the 1800s came up with this idea of manipulating frames. You really need to know this in the spring. It's a way to keep your hive, from swarming, keep them all together like this. One of the ways you can control your swarming in the spring is the Demarest method. And so the question, though, that was asked in this video where I write backwards, you need to watch, I'll leave a link at the end of this video, and you can watch the Demarest method video that I made. It's some people say it's the best video they've seen on the Demarest method because it is a little complicated and you need to watch it thoroughly. Once you wrap your head around it, kind of like riding a bicycle, it isn't that hard, but getting your head wrapped around how to do it. And again, why we're doing this, it's a way of keeping the hive from swarming in the spring because you want to make honey out of this hive. And if they swarm, you only have half the number of bees, half of them swarmed with the original queen. They're left to raise their own queen and half the population to build back up. May not make as much honey. So it's a way to keep the hive together, make more honey. And so this person asked, what do I do? You have to find the queen. You have to put her down in the lower deep. And so what do you do if you have a hive like this? What is that? 2 deeps and a medium super. And you're trying to figure out where she is. I can't find her. She's not marked. And let's face it, raise your hand. I can't see you, just for those of you that are suspicious that I'm looking at you. I'm not. Raise your hand if you have trouble finding your queen. Okay, I see all those hands out there. I mean, it's not easy. Even I sometimes have trouble finding the queen. She just hides. Doesn't she just hide? Come on. She knows. Some people say she doesn't like the light, so she goes the other side of the frame and all that. She's very elusive. So we have to spend a little time finding our queen. Sometimes all the bees are on top of her. Sometimes she's in a wee little crack over there and you'll never see her. Marking her is a great way to do it, but as the commenter said, she's not marked. Here's what I do. Well, let's say you go through it and what do you got? 30 frames. It takes forever to try to look at all of them, but you need to find her to get her down in the bottom box for the Demarest method, or any reason at all, whatever reason you need to find your queen, right? You might need to replace her. Maybe the hive is too defensive, and I don't like to say the A word. You know what the A word is? Aggressive. I don't like to accuse a colony of being aggressive. I call them defensive, but technical. So what I suggest, if you're really having trouble, this has really worked well for me, is you can simply go out to your hive like this and take the medium super off. If you have that, set it aside. And then you can take the next, let's pretend that's a deep, the next box that your brood is in. And here's your main other box that the brood is in. So what I like to do, and I don't have enough to demonstrate it, but here's a queen excluder. Wow. Look at that tiny queen excluder. So what I do, I get one more queen excluder. Yeah. So let's say I don't know where the queen is, but I got to get her, got to find her. Okay. So I'll go out to the hive with 2 queen excluders, however many it takes to separate every box. So I'm going to put a queen excluder there. So let's pretend that's going to stay there. Okay, there's a queen excluder there. I'm going to take it off for demonstration purposes, but it's still there. Okay, so there's a queen excluder in between these 2 boxes. I'm going to take my second queen excluder and I'm going to put it again, I got 2 queen excluders, one there, one here, and then I'm going to put this box back on top. Now, every single box has a queen excluder between it. So I'm going to wait probably about a week to 10 days, and then I'm going to go back. Now, class, students, this is exciting, honeybee biology. What are we going to find? You're saying to yourself, you still don't know where the queen is. She could be in any of those 3 boxes. Yes, but it's going to be easier to know which one she's in, and it's going to be easier to find her. This is good no matter what you're doing in beekeeping if you're having trouble finding that elusive queen. So what you're looking for now, you're going to look for eggs. So I recommend the first thing you do is go out to the hive, take your top cover off, take your inner covers off. I don't use those. And then inspect each frame in here. Believe it or not, there are frames in here. Let me pull one up. Tiny little frame. And so I don't know why I did that. So you inspect every frame for eggs, larvae, perhaps even pupae if you wait 10 days. So that's going to tell you immediately, is the queen in this box? Fingers crossed, and let's say you're just the luckiest person around, and sure enough, you inspect the top box and there's eggs, larvae, and a little bit of capped over brood. Now the queen is there. So now you only have, boom, 10 frames, or 8 if you use an 8-frame hive, but you have only this box to examine. And what you can do is what I do sometimes. This is a great tip, okay? If you don't follow me, you may have very frequently, you may not have heard me say this. This is so cool. You take this box off, you put your top cover back on, and that closes off this hive. They can resume activity. Everything's over. Now you're going to walk off. I would walk as far as you want to, but I usually walk away, go up to a trailer, picnic table, somewhere. You set this box over here and work it away from this hive. I'm telling you, friends, this is awesome because these bees are so much more calm when you remove them from the entirety of the hive. They are for me anyway. I've made videos how to do this. And so now, since I saw eggs in here, I've got the comfort. I'm going to be in the shade, on a picnic table, a glass of iced tea, maybe a lemonade, and I'm just going to enjoy myself just sitting there in a cool summer breeze that I'm dreaming about with all this snow I've had, and inspect. And lo and behold, take your time. You're only having to look at these frames. You're going to find her there. Okay, now next scenario, let's say that you look through this top box, whatever size it is, and you didn't see the queen. And so, okay, fine. You set that aside, right? Take the queen excluder off because there's another queen excluder that has isolated her into this box. Look for eggs here, larvae, pupae. Do you see eggs, larvae, pupae here? If you do, take this off. Put the hive back together over here, let them resume. Now you're working this box. Do each box individually because you've isolated her. Only one box, only one door. Is it door number 1, door number 2, door number 3? Only one box. And you're going to find her so much more easily. Now this is a cool trick that you can use whenever you need to find your queen. Maybe you just want to mark her. Maybe you have to replace her because she's not doing well and you need a new queen in there. Or maybe your hive is defensive and so you need to go in there. And by the way, if your hive is defensive, this technique is great because when you walk away with a box of defensive bees, the further you go, they're a lot less defensive over here in one box than they are over here with everybody. It's great. I wrote an article in Bee Culture magazine about that. Now, when I was in Texas speaking at their conference, love the Texas Association down there. When I was there, I'm going to give you another tip. Some people ask me this. Some people didn't know this. And so I want to tell you another trick, another tip that's going to help you. But before I do, a couple of things I want to tell you. This weekend, now it's Sunday if you're watching this video when it was released, this weekend until Cyber Monday, which is tomorrow, December the 1st, I have all my online classes at 50% off. I hope this helps you guys out. If you get the ultimate class, you get all 7 of my online beekeeping courses, and I hope you will. A lot of people have bought those already, so check that out. Also, I got a live stream coming up where we'll be giving away some things, and that live stream's coming up this Thursday because I'm going to be teaching about a new way to understand beekeeping to help you advance faster to become a better beekeeper. And it's called the interpretive beekeeper, the interpretive beekeeping. I don't know if I came up with that. I haven't heard it before. You know, nothing's new under the sun, but right now I'm claiming it. What I want to show you is really cool. This is a really special Christmas ornament that Sherry, bless her heart, Sherry works so hard for the channel. She's always working behind the scenes. Is she back there? No, she's further back behind the scenes in another room. She doesn't get enough credit on my channel. I try to tell you guys she works hard, but you always see me up front, not her. But anyway, she made these, had these made. I think the design and all came from her. And it says Merry Christmas 2025 on it. And it's a picture of, you know, a special little scene of an old red truck, a beekeeper. I don't know why he would be working bees. Maybe he's got a Christmas tree in the back, so maybe he cut it down on a warm day, and you can inspect your hive if it's above 65, so let's say that's what's going on. But anyway, we have a very limited number of these. You hear that? I think they're porcelain, and you can hang those. I'm talking about an extremely limited supply, so don't get mad if they sell out fast, okay? But we don't know if you're going to like them or not. If you like them this year, we'll make more next year, and that'd be something that's kind of fun. But we are giving these away also on my live stream coming up this Thursday night at 7 p.m. Looking forward. I missed last Thursday. Missed seeing you guys. Where were you? Well, you were where I was. I took time off to be with my family on Thanksgiving. Okay, so hope you had a good Thanksgiving too. All right, now the final tip I want to share with you. Some people seem to, especially brand new beekeepers, okay? So brand new beekeepers are confused over what to call boxes. Now let me explain this best I can, okay? So basically we have, in this case, can't really see them on the green. Let me get this white piece of paper. So we have green, 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 green. I once had a hive this exact same color, green. So on these boxes, now this one you can see is a little taller. It is, oh gosh, now I have to go back in the dusty corners of my brain and pull that measurement out. 9 5/8 from here to there. That's your typical Langstroth deep box. This is your deep box. Now, what do you call this? Now, this is where it gets confusing. I'm going to tell you what I call them, and then I'm going to tell you why, and tell you what other people call them and why, okay? I call this a deep box. I call this a brood box. So I generally call boxes that have brood in them a brood box. So and in my case, I have 2 of these deep boxes. I don't have them for demonstration here, but I would put 2 deeps for my brood box area. My brood chamber consists of 2 9 5/8 from top to bottom. 2 of these, 18 inches of brood space. Now you don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you want to, oh, let's get back, sorry. I'll come back around for that. All right, so there are 2 different sizes of the smaller boxes. One is called a medium super, and it's also called a Illinois super because Mr. Dadant here in Illinois came up with the size 6 5/8, 3 inches smaller. And so it can be called an Illinois super. It can be called a medium super. And you're saying, wait a minute, David, where did you get this super idea? Where does super come from? Super kind of means a drawer, a box. It just means that we call it, I call this a honey super. Now, if you had this on top of your brood box, the deep one, you could call it your honey super. It's just a big honey super. Don't get confused on it. You can call these anything you want to, but remember, it's more what you designate the use for. This is a brood box, a deep brood box, but this could be a brood box if you wanted all mediums. A lot of beekeepers run all medium brood boxes. I don't blame you. You get older and you climb trees, you jumped out of trees, you fall off of horses, you crash your motorcycle, you did all these crazy things that kids do. And now when you're older, your back says, ouch. Remember when you were young and you ruined me? Now I've got arthritis in your back or something. Happens to most old people, us older people. Your body starts reminding you shouldn't have done the things you did as a kid. And so anyway, you can have a smaller brood box chamber to help your back not get mad at you. And so you have these medium boxes down here for your brood. For me, I like an 18-inch brood box, brood chamber. Two of these is 18 inches. So in my case, I'm going to need 3 of these 6 5/8 to make the 18 inches. Quick math. And so I would use 3 mediums to make my brood chamber the same size as 2 deeps. You can really call these boxes anything you want to, but it's more about what you're using them for. This is a brood box because I'm going to put 2 of them down here, and that's where the queen's going to lay eggs, raise the brood and all that. And then I'm going to put a queen excluder on top of the brood box chamber area, whatever you use. I don't use queen excluders, but you can. And then you put your honey supers, honey boxes on top of that. One more size that's not pictured here or demonstrated here, there's a box like this that's even smaller. And I've forgotten the measurement. Is it 5 inches maybe? It's a little bit smaller than a medium, and it's called a shallow super. A shallow super is just from here to there, much more shallower. And I used to have a bunch of those. They pull out the wax fast, but you don't get as much because there's not as much space, okay? When you fill this up with honey, 9 5/8, all 10 frames, it can weigh 70 pounds. This can weigh 30 to 40 pounds. And you're picking them up with the tiny little handles on the side. All of that can be difficult at times to deal with. So a lot of times you're doing things based on how you want to run it. And again, a lot of beekeepers love just having the medium-sized super for the hives all the way up. One more thing I do want to tell you about the hives and all these boxes, and it's about the frames. David Bobblehead is here wearing the Christmas stocking cap, and he says, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach 180,000 people by the end of the year. So we need all of you to come together, teamwork this, and let's get 180 subscribers on the channel by the end of 2025. Now, let me give you this next great tip. Occasionally, somebody brand new to beekeeping will say, I don't understand why some people say there's an 8 frame and there's a 10 frame. What's the difference between an 8 frame and a 10 frame? And I always want to sarcastically say 2, 2 frames. But you get it. So the reason they're different is because, let's say this is a 10 frame box. You see that? And so if you were to take 2 frames out, it would still be a 10 frame box because it is 16 1/4 inches across. And so to make it 8 frame, the box has to be made for 8 frames. You don't want to leave this gap. They'll fill it up with crazy comb. And so there are 8 frame boxes, and I don't remember the measurement, 13 and something inches, probably 13 5/8, but it goes across here and it stops just before that gap. So they are more narrower boxes, and they're 8 frame boxes. Why do people use 8 frame boxes? A lot of people use 8 frames for the same reason, to save the back. 2 of these frames, what are they? If they were filled with honey, would be 5 to 7 pounds each, probably with the wax and the wood. So you're taking about 10 to 15 pounds off of the weight of this box by taking 2 frames out and running 8 frame equipment. Some people use 5 frame equipment. And a lot of you tell me that. Now, would you follow me into this video right here? It's all about handling your frames, preparing them for spring and all, and it's going to be a big way for you guys to really take off in the spring, knowing these secrets to these frame handling techniques. I'll see you over there.